Good evening, sim racing fans, and tonight's main event is here from the Daytona International Speedway on LSRTV and iRacing Live. It's time to send 4 drivers home for round number 15 overall, or if we're talking about the championship, it is iSuperChase race 2 of 5 and the final race of 2 in the Super 10 round. The Sim HQ Motorsports 225 get set to roll, and we're glad to have you with us on LSRTV. Alongside Evan Pasoko, Andy Kessler, Josh Ball along with you. He's on the track. He helped us out with our Truck Series coverage earlier on tonight, and we talked with him previewing this race. We do have our honorary Jared Haggerty with us, and Cisco Scaramuzza, and LSRTV's Laura Lawson in the production trailer. Guys, we know the situation coming into tonight, and that is based on the points intervals on this iSuperChase grid, Andy. Only Christian Peterson, last week's winner, is safe. The fate of these other 9 chasers hangs in the balance for 93 laps tonight.
Yeah, and that's a tough road to haul right there. You're talking an endurance race, 93 laps to basically survive and get yourself a top 10 finish and be consistent as far as what you did last week. So obviously, winning you're in. You're gonna have some 38, 40 cars or so here tonight trying to get that win to try to make themselves either a contender for this championship or try to steal a win away from these chasers. So you got a lot of 9 chasers in here tonight, but it should be fun.
It was a brief topic of conversation in our Truck Series coverage, Cisco, but for this portion of tonight's doubleheader, it is huge. A new sim build out of as of Tuesday. Not a lot of practice time on it, though. These guys spent a couple of hours yesterday, a couple of hours today on tracks in big packs 3 and 4 wide. The cars are no longer tight. They're very loose. Very loose is an understatement as well, because this is going to be a completely unpredictable race. Not something that you want to happen to you with so much on the line, not knowing what's going to happen.
No, and I mean, this is also a brand new setup for these guys. So, I mean, I'm looking right now, and I'm seeing the splitter actually going through the track right now with the setup on these cars. So that's something to look out for. But the other thing, I think, with the new build, and we touched on a little bit in the Phoenix race, was the new smoke effect. It's actually very hard to see where you're going during a wreck. Like, my teammate Tyler Herr, he was in a race at Pocono, and then a wreck happened in front of him. He couldn't see a thing. So, and we know these super speedways, the big one is always a danger, and if it happens, you may even have less ability to avoid it than before.
We saw that a lot in the trucks, and tonight with no quick fixes, if there is an accident, you better hope that you get through it, or your bid for a championship may come to a close. The drivers just rounded up their 5-minute qualifying session, and we're set to do battle for round 15, race 2 in the Super 10 round. Let's take a look at your LSRTV starting grid for the Sim HQ Motorsports 225. It'll be a pole position for the 44 of Logan Clampett with a 49.347. He rose the S-Cars Chevrolet from the top spot. Mark Jorgensen Jr. get to join him on the front row. The 88 car qualifies in second. Chad King get to start tonight's race from third spot, fourth to Dan Harrington, and Dana Osborne in fifth.
That 6th spot's going to go to the 85 of Paul Servant, while Rodney Wofford's going to roll off 7th and Rod Flagg 8th. 9th inside of row number 5 will be the 21 of Glenn Hedrick, and just to his outside, that 07 of Derek Walker.
Starting P11 is going to be the number 4 of Tommy Hall. Starting 12th, Brandon Chaburko. Ben Niles starts 13th, and to his outside is the 77 of Justin Anderson, and Greg Hook starts 15th in the 98.
Frank Basilia is a champion in this series, but he's below the cut line. The driver of the 94 starts tonight in 16th position. Casey Malone will roll from 17th alongside Jason Altmans in 18th. James Pileski inside of row 10, 19th. Rounding out your top 20 is the 28 of Shane McEachin.
The 48 machine of Josh Ball is going to roll off 21st. 22nd goes to Ramon Evans. 23rd starting spot is the 38 of Jeff Figlin. Larry Camp will start 24th, and 25th is Corey Henry.
Ryan Pylan's going to start 26th. 27th is going to go to Jared Haggerty. 28th to Ray Rittenauer. 29th is going to go to Matt Quick. He was the last one to take time. And 30th is going to go to the 71 of Christian Peterson.
Peterson is in. His teammate needs some help to get in. That's Seth Merchant. Biggest gap out of anybody, though. 20 points above the cut line. Starting in 31st. Stephanie Lassentine, 32nd. Josh Hanner, 33rd. Ryan Keys, 34th. And Alex Halladar in 35th.
36, we'll go to William Roberts Jr., Daniel Ferguson, 37th. 38th is Matt Bontempi. 39th goes to the 088 of Kent Connolly. 40th to Chris Passini. John Turner, Donnie Giratano, and Rod Mitten will round out this 43-car field here at Daytona.
So the field is set. Christian Peterson is into the Superior 6. The other 9 drivers, Seth the Merchant is up by 20 points. Rodney Wofford is in by 15. Josh Ball, a champion in this series, in fact, your defending series champion, is in by 7 points. Jason Altmans is in by 4. And Josh Hanner, 6th in the points, is up by just 1 point over Frank Wasilia, just below the cut line. Then Brandon Chaburko, 21 points out. Shane McEachin and Chris Bassini at 22 points out. Those 3 drivers at the bottom basically need a win if they want to go on. There's 90 laps at Daytona, and everything hangs into the balance if you want to make it to the second of 3 rounds in the iSuperChase. And we're glad to have you with us on LSRTV through iRacing Live. The pace car down and away. Logan Clampett under the start-finish line. He comes. Green flag is out and underway. The Sim HQ Motorsports 225 up to speed down to turns 1 and 2. A lot of questions tonight in Daytona Beach. They start now.
And look at the 3 wide already back there around that 10th spot. That's Brandon Chaburko. No surprise right there. He's trying to make this thing work and go to the high side all by himself, though. He decided to get out of line right behind the 07 of Derek Walker. Now Chaburko all by himself. He should start falling back, but he is the master, I would call him, at least on the side draft.
Well, we saw him go 3 wide last week early when everybody else was 2 wide. He got into an accident. That's the reason that he sits at this moment 21 points behind the cut line. He's showing that he's not going to be shy, though early continues to flirt with that 3 wide as temporarily he ducks down in line. He's running at about 11th spot.
And check out Chad Keane. He was able to, or at least race for the lead. He does take it across the line. That was really close right there. But Logan Clampett jumped to the outside and that allowed the 96 of Keane to get that lead now.
So Keane to the bottom of the racetrack, he's got the advantage. It is actually a race to get to the outside of the racetrack. Again, this new build allows for 3 wide racing to be possible, plus the fact that we're working on a new setup, that one in comparison rather to what we've been using before in prior weeks. So that tight condition is gone. These are very racy race cars. The ability to go 3 wide is there, but at Daytona, nowhere near as much room as what you're talking about at a place like Talladega, so you have to pace yourself early. Nothing changing in front of the field. It's the inside, the place to be at lap number 2. Dan Harrington leads across the start-finish line. The push comes from that 7 machine behind. Keane in front, though. How about Dana Osborne? P5 to P2. He's doing a good job at the inside of the racetrack. The 3 drivers topside that are slowly beginning to fall back. The 44 of Logan Clampett. He's got the 82 of Dan Harrington and the 85 of Paul Servant behind him.
Yeah, and there's still 3 wide, just a couple rows behind those guys. The 3 of Chaburko actually decided to come back down that middle lane. That left Derek Walker all by himself on the outside there. Not doing anything with it currently, still sliding back right now, but the whole field, side by side, 2 rows deep, all the way through the field. Some great racing here early as they cross the start-finish line to complete lap number 3.
The night's still young, and they're forcing the issue back there again. Still 3 wide. Let's look at the number 3 Chevrolet of Brandon Chaburko. He's up there. He had some support in front of him. I think it was the 82 car. Jumped the line, thought about helping him, came back down. Frank Basilia is going up there with him. Both of these drivers are outside of the cut line, and the 26 of Rod Flagg, he is not in this championship, but he does not want anything to do with that. He's getting out of there real quick. McEachin as well, that 28, guys, 22 points below the cut line. He needs to win this race if he wants to advance, and he figures that being up there in that pack is not the way to do it. He also drops back.
Yeah, and we're kind of looking towards the back. We got a couple big names back there. You know, we just mentioned Flagg going back there, but also Peterson as well as the Merchant. They're both kind of back there. It's kind of weird, you know, seeing them back there. We're used to seeing them up front, you know, leading these things, and yet they're just riding in the back right now, just biding their time.
And I can't blame him because it is a very fluid situation inside the top 10, the top 15. Wofford going to take over the race lead. He got the push topside from the 8 of Osborne to jump down in front of the 96 of Chad Keene. So the number 7 Chevrolet goes to the point again. DeMerchant can take it easy because he's 20 points to the good. Doesn't mean you want to finish any worse than 20th to make the job a little bit better on yourself, but he does not need to race very aggressive. There are other drivers that need to be very aggressive, and it is extremely treacherous up topside. For the first time tonight, though, the top 5 cars actually break out in single file. Advantage now well to the bottom side in turn 1 on lap 6.
Yeah, and that's one guy you don't want to let pretty much be the Pied Piper here, is that 7 of Wofford. Knows how to get it done at Daytona, all-time career wins leader here at this track and in the series. So right now he's right where he needs to be, right where he typically is week in and week out. Doing a great job right now, leading this whole field right now into turn number 3. The outside lane definitely falling off now, almost outside the top 10 currently. Harrington and Servant, the only 2 on that top side with some help. Just behind them, though, the 77 and the 3 car starting to try to make up some ground as the field makes their way around the lap traffic. That's the 36 machine of Sean Turner currently sitting in that 41st spot.
And even back there, again, you're talking about a gap of over 13 seconds off of the race lead. There have been times this season where we see those guys way back off of the lead draft still find problems of their own. The lead draft, though, while it is still big at 21 cars, is starting to break up a little bit. It is starting to kind of spread out into a single file line up front, except for Glenn Hedrick, one of the old-time veterans of this series, stepped away for a little bit. The 21 machine is the only driver on the outside of the racetrack, inside of the top 5, making anything work. He's got no help. He wants that 82 of Dan Harrington to hustle up and get to him because now he's losing that side draft through the tri-oval.
Yeah, and that High Roll Wars machine, he is coming with help along with that 85 of Paul Servant. They're going to now get to the back bumper of the 21, and maybe they're going to try and make something work. I'm looking and I'm seeing that Tax Slayer machine of Dana Osborne. He was peeking out a little bit to the outside, but we'll see if anyone wants to go the front. If they jump out here, Dana's looking maybe or maybe not. I guess we'll find out in about 3 seconds.
The outside pulls up to about side-by-side for 4th position. At least they try to get there. They'll get 5th with a small nose advantage to the bottom sides. The number 4 to Tommy Hall, who's 5th in line on the inside of the racetrack. There goes the 8 of Osborne now, top side. So he wants to lead the outside charge. He's the one that pushed Rodney Wofford to the race lead. After he did that, he jumped down, and that's when the outside lane died. So the 8 car has really been dictating how the outside's been doing tonight. He wants to go back on the offensive. The 4, the 21, contact inside the top 5, a close call. No contact, though, I think that registered. Everybody hangs on, and an next driver to want to get out of the way is Greg Cooks. He's out.
There's a lot of guys, I think, seeing what's going on around here and how racy these guys are wanting to be right now as the battle for the lead's actually starting to shape up with that high side, gaining some more followers. Currently, Logan Clampett leading the charge right there, but he's side-by-side for that second spot. A decent run, though, off of turn number 4. Not quite going to be able to do anything with it. Osborne not to his back bumper currently, but the top side now, 5 strong cars there on that outside, going to try to make a charge to get Clampett back up to the lead.
You know the risks of racing at a plate track when you do it every single Friday night, as we do in the iSuperSpeedway.com racing series. It becomes normal. There is nothing normal about this race. What is on the line? It's a setup that you've never raced with 40 cars before. It's a new build, 3 wide for the race lead. Logan Clampett going to get shuffled out of line. Osborne on the offensive makes it 3 wide to the bottom, and since he's got friends behind him, that 44 Chevy stuck outside the dry. 82 car gets tight. They're real close in turn 4.
Yeah, it's getting really tight right there, but you talked about before, Daytona isn't as wide as Talladega, and it's really dicey here to go 3 wide, especially if you're going straight to the back, as Logan Clampett is right now. But kind of we're seeing a little bit of a breakaway, but now that second pack being led by Frank Buseglia, it seems like they've gotten single file, and they want to make a charge towards that lead pack now, and they are catching them in a hurry.
44 is going to be able to dunk a line behind the 23 of Haggerty. That is outside of the top 10. We're neck and neck for the race lead at this moment. The 7 of Rodney Wofford, 15 points above the cut line into tonight's race. He figures the best way to approach this, to get out there and try to lead every single lap. The 8 of Osborne, not a driver in the chase. Neither is the same scenario if you're talking about Chad Keene. Tommy Hall, Glenn Hendricks. So it is really just a lone chaser topside in Rodney Watford. Most of his fellow iSuperChase competitors have elected to drop out of this lead draft because it has been extremely treacherous. Now still 19 drivers, though, in this lead pack, and about the first 16 or 17 of them are still all the way side by side since row number 2. Very chaotic start, but so far these guys know what they're doing. Have had a couple of close calls, though, definitely when you're talking about squeezing this many cars in that little bit of real estate.
Yeah, this is the first chance that these guys are actually going to get here, so we're working lap number 12, about to complete it this time by. The tires are going to start to wear here, and this is going to be the true fact, or true test anyway, off of the corner of what these guys, have underneath them. Is the car going to get loose? Is it going to get tight through the corners? They're 3 wide around that 8th spot currently. Right now, that's Haggerty on the outside. He's trying to make something happen with that high line. Here comes the 3 now at Chiburko. He sees somebody else trying it. He's going to go up there and try to help him, but 3 wide here, a little further back into the pack. And they're in the wall.
Chiburko, the 3. Oh, he got up on 2 wheels. He will save it, but for the second week in a row, Brandon Chiburko goes 3 wide in the opening quarter of the race, and I think that DraftKings Chevy's got to be hurt.
Yeah, there's got to be some damage to that right side of that machine right now. There is. You can visually see it on the 23. He's going to lose a lot of speed right now. That's Haggerty, who got into the wall off of turn number 2 right there. It was 3 wide. I mean, we talk about this track being really narrow when it comes to super speedway racing, and right there was a great product of it off of turn 2 that last time by. And all this happening right around to some championship contenders there. Josh Ball, Seth the Merchant, Christian Peterson, all in this mix right here. All championship is lead pack, though. These guys are really starting to get crazy now as they're all pushing it 3 and 4 wide here up for that 6th, 7th position.
And I do find it interesting because these drivers were talking about the cars being loose. You get to somebody's left rear and they spin out, something like you see in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. But so far, I've seen a lot of tight race cars in the pack, especially the 96 of Chad Keane. Keane is leading that outside lane at the moment, Cisco. He's gotten tight a couple of times off the corner. That has brought all those cars behind him way up the hill. They've had to ease out of the gas, and that's what's leading to a lot of the 2-3 wide behind him.
Yeah, right. And it looks like they're trying to get runs. You can see Chad using that side draft, and that's on the 52 of Malone, but it looks like they just can't get enough of a run. But it looks like the 82 and the 85, at least, they're kind of tandeming right now and getting a huge run on the 96, going to try and make something happen. Look at the jump the 96 get. He shoots up about 1 car at least. Looks like that might be the way to do it, kind of get the 2-car tandem to get up there and push that lead car. It looks like that might be the way to get it done on the outside.
The inside has been one of the safer places to be tonight, albeit if you're on the bottom, it's not a very comfortable position to be in because you don't have a lot of room. You are on the guy's bumper in front of you. They are on your bumper behind you, and there's a car maybe 5 feet off your passenger side door. So even those that are quote-unquote riding at this point have had a pretty nerve-wracking opening 15 laps of this race at Daytona. Still clean, though, still green to this point through 16 laps, and that 96 of Keane is starting to get left topside because those guys behind him just can't stay on the bumper. They push up the hill. You see it again there with the 82 of Dan Harrington. Car goes way up the hill. He can't hold it down. Look at behind them, the 55 of Ben Nile. Same scenario. Topside, very tight when you're right on behind somebody's bumper, at least from what we've seen so far.
Yeah, tight condition off the, but it hasn't. It's like we say, it hasn't been that as bad as we've seen in previous weeks. There, you really could see both lines really come off the corner and kind of move towards the wall, and then come back, serpentine back down to the yellow line. But it hasn't been as bad as we've seen it in weeks past. But it's definitely still currently visible. But another thing I'm noticing here too early in the run is the amount of draft that these guys in the middle of the pack, they'll get a little separation from each other, but then they really close on that car in front of them rather quickly. And we've seen that bottom line have to check up a bunch here over the last few laps here, especially coming off the corners down the straightaways.
And the closing rate, something that in these Cup cars has been rather lacking in comparison to an Xfinity B car or a Camping World truck. If you're talking about the NASCAR stock cars on the sim, these Cup cars, as of the second most recent build now, as we include this new one as of Tuesday, have not been able to close that well. These guys use a very custom setup that allows them to do a lot, but definitely these guys are able to stick closer. That's what makes that third lane top side work to begin with, is the fact that because there's the draft side have contact at the front, the 4, and Tommy Hall and everybody behind him, they are saved by what looked like a lot of netcode after the 44 got shot at a line. Now they're wrecking behind him.
Big wreck right there. Looks like that second pack was mainly caught up involved right now. I'm seeing the 23 of Haggerty. He's caught up in it. And a bunch of other cars are caught up into it. The 36 of Turner. But looks like that's going to bring our first caution out of the night.
And it happened in turn number 4. The contact in front of a couple of these guys. It looks like Glenn Hedrick, the one that goes around first after some contact up front, which was saved by the fact that it was Netco, but it checked everybody else up behind him. I'm seeing Glenn Hedrick involved, Justin Anderson, Ramon Evans in turn 4. The 94 of Frank Basilia, Andy Kessler, 1 point below the cut line. A series champion has front-end damage on the 94 McDonald's drive-through Ford Fusion. He is going to need to get that car fixed, and he's going to need a lot of luck tonight because that stings.
Yeah, it does, and he's got some rear end damage. He's got damage all around. So this round of pit stops that's going to be happening here momentarily is definitely going to be something his crew's going to have to go to attention to, is trying to get this thing somewhat aerodynamic. Obviously, it's not going to be a car that's going to lead a line, but he might be all right as long as he can stay back, tucked up underneath someone's bumper. Then that air will really stay off the nose. That'll really help him at least get up to the front. I don't think it's too terminal, but something they got to remember, obviously, when you get a lot of front-end damage like that, it can really damage the radiator or the opening of the radiator and cause these cars to heat up a lot quicker than normal.
And I can bet that he's going to be coming down trying to get that car fixed. He might stay down a little bit of extra time to get that car serviced, but cars in for service at this moment. Lap 20 of 90 on the evening, still 70 laps to go. All of these drivers coming down to get service. It all lines on your chase drivers as they come down. The 7 Randy Watford, first driver in after leading this race. He'll take 4 tires, gas, and go. He is the first one off.
And it looked like Logan Clamp in that number 1 stall. He did slide through his pit stall, was able to back it up, but it's going to lose some spots on pit road. Ryan Keese gets a great jump off pit road. He's going to come out second off pit road. Behind him, Chad Keene and Josh Hanner. And then behind them, Dan Harrington. That's your top 5 off of pit road.
And at 10, Ryan Keys scored in 25th the last time by the start-finish line. He either took 2 tires or he missed his stall. I don't have a view of the 10 car at the moment. So Keys comes down, he misses his stall. So he'll come out second, but he's got another trip down to the pit lane due. So Chad Keene going to be the second one off with service, which means that Dana Osborne, the number 8 Tax Slayer Chevy, he loses a couple of spots because he came down pit road second, and he gets passed by at least Chad Keene and Dan Harrington.
Yeah, that's something you don't want is issues on pit road. Obviously, under caution, it's not as damaging as it is when it happens under a green flag condition here at Daytona, but green flag pit stops, that's when you don't want any issues, because you're typically coming down with a couple groups of people, other cars, and if you're a lot slower than those guys, you'll never catch up to them on the racetrack, which in turn means you lose the draft and lose your position. But at least being under caution for some of these guys, they can still recover, obviously, if they lose a few positions, because they'll all still be bunched up here for the restart.
Jason Altman's number 51 Geek Squad of Ford Fusion, another driver that got torn up in that one. We talked about Frank Basilia being damaged. He was the 7th place driver of 10 into tonight's race. He was 1 point behind Josh Hanner for the final transfer spot, in on points to the second round of the iSuperChase. He got damaged. For Jason Altmans, who was just 4 points above that cut line, 5th overall in the Super 10 standings, he really got torn up, so he's got to come down pit road and get that car fixed, and as you would imagine, not happy with the relatively recently implemented no reset rule, because that's a lot of damage that the 51's got to get fixed as the night progresses.
Yeah, and that's going to take time. And of course, I don't think he's going to get it all fixed under this caution, which means he's going to have to be very careful under these draft conditions. Maybe drop back into a second pack to just make sure he doesn't nuke the motor. But just a tough break for Altmans, and he had a really good car.
So we see where everybody's going to end up in this one. A couple of drivers had stayed out to get some wave buys to go back on through. It does appear, though, Rodney Wofford going to be in the race lead. With 4 tires coming on all of these guys at lap number 20. Again, talk about iRacing 2 years ago, and you really wouldn't take tires at plate tracks. Maybe 2 tires at one point. But despite the fact that it's a new build, despite the fact that we're not talking about as tight of race cars as we used to, when everybody takes 4 tires, Andy, that tells me that these cars are not handling very friendly.
Yeah, that just it becomes a premium, and that was one thing that iRacing was lacking in the service was tire wear at the super speedways. Like you said, you could run a whole race. You could run this 93 lap race here tonight on one set of tires and not be slow and not be that guy that's holding the field up on a restart. I mean, once that draft got kicked in, it didn't matter what your tires were. So over the last couple builds, it's definitely been an added feature as far as a better tire wear at these plate tracks, which I think's produced more racing or better racing. Has definitely put more pressure on these guys when they do come down to pit road. It's not just fuel only stops. They got to take tires, and then it's a question of 2 or 4. So which is all dependent on the time of the race and when it's all happening at. So. Currently, though, it definitely seeing all these guys taking 4 tires with this, it was a decent run there, just under 20 laps there that we did right from the start. So tires were definitely going to be worn at that point. So 4 tires was definitely the call here in this round.
So at least Basilia and Altmans, 2 of your chase drivers that got heavily torn up in that one. Still on track, still have the ability to gain positions if their fellow competitors are to have problems over the next about 68 laps or so. But at least for early in a chase elimination race, things are not going quite according to plan for a couple of your championship drivers. One of the guys that's enjoyed where he sits right now is the 7 Rodney Wofford. He started P7, wasted no time to get up to the front row. This man loves racing at Daytona International Speedway. 15 points to the good above the cut line to advance to the round of 6. A win would just give it that much easier. He'll lead us back to the green flag for the first American Ethanol restart on the night. The pace car ducks down and away into the restart box we go. Green flag flies and back at it at Daytona. 68 laps remain in the HQ Motorsports 225 and a bottom side slow start, but they get the advantage now down to turn 1. Clampett actually abandons the outside to go to the outside.
Yeah, he's going to jump up in front of the 85 of Servan, and he's going to try and maybe work with those guys to try and get a run. It looks like the outside has more cars than the inside currently because there's a little bit of a gap between Pacini and Halinar. So it looks like, and there's the huge run they get right now. The 8's going to get in the 96. Oh, trouble!
And it's at the front. It's a big accident. The caution flag will fly, and Rodney Wofford's number 7 Chevrolet is involved. Huge chase implications in this accident down the back straightaway, and Rodney Wofford, as you can imagine, is not at all satisfied after contact with the guys on the outside of the racetrack involves his number 7, and he goes from the catbird seat to the outhouse as he is involved in this accident, and I'm sure he's not the only chase driver.
No, there's a bunch of people that were involved in this one here. So, and then a bunch of chase guys that were behind that were actually able to get slowed up in time. So, pretty big wreck right there. Obviously, when they happen in front of the field, that's the last thing you want to see because a lot of cars are going to come piling up into that. Just really nowhere to go. Self-cleaning racetrack. Everything falls towards the bottom of the racetrack once everything gets going. So, tough break for some of these guys. We'll keep an eye on, obviously, some of these chasers and where they fared on that caution flag right there and who was damaged, if any of them.
It's two big ones back to back. Basically, this one a huge one stemming from the front row. Seth the Merchant is involved. He gets some damage in this one. We had mentioned Rodney Wofford, who gets torn up a little bit as well. Hearing that a little bit further back in the pack, possibly problems for Josh Ball also because there was a secondary wreck before, or rather behind that initial contact as guys tried to check up. Basically, pit road is going to be a very busy place tonight. We'll try to recap all of the chase drivers' problems as they come down and try to get things fixed. This race may come down to a survival of the fittest as 4 of them get sent home after tonight's Save HQ Motorsports 225. We'll step away, though, under this second caution flag, take a quick commercial break. LSRTV will be right back from the Virtual World Center of Racing in a moment.
Domino's TYJ Racing League is proud to announce we are now taking driver applications for our $2,500 purse inaugural season going green January 2016. At Domino's TYJ Racing League, you get paid cash, not gift cards or die casts. Cold, hard cash. You get paid for finishing 1st through 20th in our championship and 1st through 3rd, plus a lucky dog bonus in all of our 20 races, plus other cash bonuses. You're going to like the way you look, all the way to the bank. I guarantee it. Purse amount approximate, paid cash or iRacing bucks. Drivers carry less than $20. Report unsafe driving to local authorities. Apply today at Domino'sTYJRacing.com to see if you qualify for our league. And join our preseason Thunder tryout races Saturday nights at 8 p.m. through the end of 2015 to see if you have what it takes to make the cut and some cash.
Did you know the lion's sense of vision is so powerful, it actually enables nearby creatures to see better? Here we see lions assisting the offspring of others, while their parents are elsewhere in the wild. Brilliant, isn't it? Making the wild kingdom look much better indeed. Do good, be a lion.
Truex in the outside, contact made. 56 slides it at a 4. Who's going to be at the stripe? Dead even, give it to Ryan Truex. Truex is your winner over Tandy.
Monza is a very historic track. It's been around since the 20s, and it's gone through several permutations since then. We're also bringing forward a number of configurations. So there's chicanes that they've installed since the track's early days. So they can use original, very high-speed configurations of the track where the cars would just blow through where the chicanes are today, or they could use a more modern version. So it's a pretty cool, compelling track. unique thing about Monza is it has a road course, but it also has a high-speed oval, and that high-speed oval can be run by itself. The Grand Prix course can be run by itself, and they also can be run together in a combined circuit, which is very unique and special in motorsports.
We're back live at the virtual Daytona International Speedway for LSRTV's coverage of the iSuperChase and the iSuperSpeedway.com racing series. A lot of our chase drivers have had problems tonight. One of them that's now in a very good spot is Chris Bassini, the #1 Pennzoil Chevrolet, entered tonight at the bottom of the barrel. 10th out of the 10 drivers in this round, 22 points behind a transferring position. A win, much like Christian Peterson did 1 week ago right here at Daytona, would buy his way into the Superior 6. That's what he is aiming to do for this restart. For about half of our chase grid, they're probably about P20 through P30, trying to just limp home and hope for the best. There's still plenty of racing, though, to come from Daytona. This restart with 64 laps to go. Pace car, get it ducked out of the way. We get set to go back at it. Green flag flies. Underway we go. And for Chris Bassini, who started 40th, and for Rod Benton, who started 43rd, they take over P1 and P2 at the stripe.
Yeah, they do, but that bottom side, there's definitely got the slight advantage right now into turns 1 and 2 right now. The top side, a little bit of a separation between the 92 and the 42. That's Rod Minton and Seth the Merchant there on the high side. They finally get to each other's bumper, and now look at the run. They're getting down the back straightaway. Seth the Merchant doing a great job giving them the push. Problem is getting back into the corner there. They got to let off the bumper. They can't push through the corners. That is a league rule with them, but look who's made his way up into the top 10 right now. That 48 of Josh Ball after starting 27th. He's up to that 7th spot right now. He's on that bottom side with some help from that 3 of the 3. Just uncertain currently where he wants to go. He goes to the high side now through the tri-oval. So even up front here as they battle for the lead, the 92 with the slight advantage heading into 1.
Yeah, those guys forced to run the Grand National or truck rules, if you will. That's no push it in the corner. That includes the tri-oval, so they can push all the way down the Daytona super stretch and between turn 4 and the tri-oval, outside of the tri-oval, down to turn number 1. So momentum is not only a huge thing in super speedway races to begin with, but you got to time it very well. You talk about the 42 with Seth the Merchant. Runner-up last week at Daytona, his teammate Christian Peterson got some damage in that accident. Peterson, the only driver advanced so far to the Superior 6 round with a win. The 42 machine looking pretty good, 20 points above the cut line, but he would not object to getting the win and maybe taking that ticket away from somebody like a #1 at Chris Bassini, who basically needs that win if he wants to advance. However, the way things have been going, Cisco, for his competitors, that might not even be the case. We'll see.
Yeah, but right now, take a look at the 93 at Pileski. He was giving a huge shove to the 42 at DeMerchant, helping them get up there. Now it looks like the 87 of Rittenauer was going to join him up there, but it looked like he maybe tagged the water a little bit, or no, he's heading straight to the back. So he might be looking for someone, but I'm looking at the 48. He's got a little bit of nose damage. The 94 has a bit of nose damage. So a lot of these chasers, you know, they got to watch out for those motors because, you know, like Andy said, a little hole in the front, and that could be a blown motor right there, and that could end your race.
Things up front actually begin to single file out now, 2 laps off of the restart. The top 4 drivers out in front, just the 96 of Chad Keane topside, and that is it all the way through. 20th spot, so these guys a much different approach than what we saw earlier. They're taking it easy with Minton out in front, DeMerchant in second, and Chris Bassini, who has fallen to 3rd after being in control of the field. And when we took the green flag, every driver inside the lead pack of 17 cars is single file, with the exclusion of the 96 of Chad Keane, who is not finding anybody that wants to check up and let him in line. He falls now behind the 12 of Corey Henry to 9th, and Josh Ball is not going to cut him a break either, so the 48 slots in. Keane's going all the way backwards.
Yeah, he is, but fortunate for him, he's got a big gap right now behind the 48 of Josh Ball, so that's going to put him right in that position of a top 10 right now. 10th place right now is Frank Brusilia, just behind these guys, making some noise, trying to get back up there. We've got that 41 of Ryan Pilen just giving him a real good push in that Haas Automation Chevrolet right now. But Frank Brusilia, he's making me hungry in that McDonald's car right now, but he's doing a great job with just a 2-car breakaway like they have to make it back up to this front group and try to get themselves involved with this race as we go on board the number 41 machine of Chris Pylan here off of turn number 4.
3 wide for the race lead at a turn number 4. Seth the Merchant topside with Chris Bassini. The 92 tried to block, and well, we know what happens when that happens, and that is nobody's going to be your friend. They go high side on him. The 42, the one get clear. Greg Hooks is now stuck topside, though, so he's got no support up there either as he tries to get something going. And out of nowhere, the 3 of Brandon Chaburko to second on the racetrack. He took the bottom to get to the bumper to James Pileski. He looks to give that 93 machine a shot down low. 93-3 down low, and 42 and 1 topside. 2 wide, 2 rows deep for the top 4 spots.
Now, it looked like after the 92 got sent down the sucker hole, whoa, big boom, nearly a huge problem right there as a slow car almost came up onto the track. That was really close right there, couldn't get a number, but looks like that top line used a little bit of the bobble by the bottom line, and oh, it's going to get dicey here as the 3 goes up the track, but they've got a huge run on the outside.
The outside wants to fight back. Again, I had just complimented him, Andy, on the fact that they were playing nice, and now they're right back at each other. Top side just about as heavily armed as the bottom. There's 5 cars up top, 4 cars on the bottom. That should give the outside lane an advantage if they can dig here.
It should give them the advantage, and it is right now. Currently into turn number 3 right now. Seth the Merchant not able to get the bottom side clear right now. Pileski doing a great job on the bottom side with the help of Brandon Chaburko. Chaburko, though, on that inside lane, that's somewhere we don't typically see him right now as he get ready to go through the trial. Well, he was actually up in that middle groove trying to push these guys high through that tri-oval right there. Didn't work for him, though, currently, and still side by side about 3 rows deep.
And at 92 is topside. Roddermitten elected to jump down. That gave the inside the numerical advantage in cars. And then the inside was able to fight right back. Look at the 3, the 42, Chaburko. They made a little bit of contact as we go 3 wide around the driver of the number 93. Lap machine will stay topside, stay well up high and out of the way. So not a factor in all of that. And a good place to catch a lap machine 3 wide is down the back straightaway, not in the corner. So your leaders were able to single file their way through there. They remain double wide, though, for position. 3 drivers topside, 3 drivers on the bottom. This lead pack very quickly went from about 21 cars strung out single file to a couple of groups. Really, the top 6 are trying to pull away. Got a couple of stragglers around just behind him. Greg Hooks, the 12, Machida Corey Henry, Josh Ball, all single file. They're keeping the rest of the guys inside of the top 10 close, but really it's this 3 wide battle that we're seeing, or the 2 wide, 3 rows deep topside, which is really the mark of the lead in this race. Bottom side is okay, but Seth the Merchant, he's gotten close 1, 2, 3 times. Not enough, though, quite yet to get cleared. Chaburko's doing a good job pushing the 93 of Pileski.
Yeah, it is right now, so it looks like Pileski and Chaburko are able to get that side draft, or at least mediate a little bit to their advantage instead of giving it to the 42 and the 1. But look at the huge push by Pizzini that's going to push the 42 into 1. Does the 42 pull down? He does.
Got him.
Leaves Pizzini out to dry. It's just 2 cars left on the outside. And your new leader is that 42 is Seth the Merchant.
And I am not at all surprised that Seth the Merchant did not want to help out that 1 machine of Chris Pizzini. Pizzini needs a win to get in. Seth the Merchant, not necessarily. 42 machines playing to win.
Yeah, he's playing to get the win. Obviously, that's what it's all about. Get the win and you're in. You're guaranteed a spot, and Seth the Merchant from starting in the back of the field there in that 31st spot. This is what we've seen over a few weeks here, I would say over the last couple months. Evan is him and Christian Peterson starting towards the back. Peterson obviously right now struggling, currently sitting in that 17th spot. Last one on this somewhat of a lead pack right now, but it's just it's what we've seen out of these guys, starting the back, avoid that big wreck, and then get themselves to the front where they need to be.
And the outside, again, it works very well. This is not something that is because of the new build. The outside has been a viable option with the setup that these guys have been running on the last couple of weeks. The downfall for the outside has been the fact that it's just so tight there. These cars are now starting to get tight. You see, they get some time. Oh, contact, Brandon Chaburko! He will save it, but he got doored. Back up on track in a spectacular save by the driver of the number 3 DraftKings Chevrolet. He got doored by the 93. Not entirely just the 93's fault. Jaberko pushed up. Pileski came down. He saves it. And now Pileski down through the Earnhardt sucker hole in the middle as the Merchant takes the race lead on the bottom. And Pacini and the 96 Akeen try to clear him topside.
The 3 had, I don't know how he saved that car. I thought he was going to come up, and it looked like the 96 got into the wall a little bit on the backstretch, but it looks like everyone's able to hold on to it. But take a look who's kind of snuck in now with all this calamity going on. Josh Ball has started to show up, and I think he wants to join the party for the lead.
He's up here in the conversation. He's in the red velvet, number 48, Lowe's Chevrolet. Topside on the racetrack. Started in 21st. He's done a good job to gain a bunch of spots tonight. So have your top 3. DeMerchant started 31st. Pacini started 40th. And Rod Minton started 43rd. It pays due dividends to keep your nose clean as we begin to work now through lap number 40. 50 laps to go. The next time by at Daytona. DeMerchant out in front. Fellow chase competitor behind him in Chris Pacini. The lone driver topside is now that 93 of Pileski. Surprising enough, considering that 93 Chevrolet, again, we talked about the fact that he was in the middle of the racetrack. A lot of the time, when somebody goes to your outside to pass you, it doesn't work for them. You normally get the advantage, and he had a very good side draft. But once Chris Pacini came down from the outside, not a chance. Look at this. They're teaming up on Seth the Merchant. The number 42 leads the bottom. All 4 drivers behind him step out of line. Goodbye, Pacini, new race leader.
Well, it looked like they almost wanted to leave him out to dry in the 92, but 92 drops in right behind Pacini.
Yeah, he does drop right behind him right now, but we're going to see that. It's almost like a leapfrog effect at the front of the field. There, Evan, is at that outside lane. They'll push you up to the front right now as there's still 3 wide here. Currently on the bottom, that's Seth the Merchant. And they make some contact as the 12 car, Henry, into the wall just a little bit. That tiny little bit right there just affected the 96 of Chad Keene. But the top side, here they come now with a big run. It's the number 3, Brandon Jaberko. He's leading that small little train right now. It's just Pileski right behind him. They're going to push him out a nose ahead as they enter turn 1.
Trying to get that advantage, and Jaberko going to go to the race lead. Contact for a second now. Pacini, the 93, topside of Pileski. They will rub doors. And again, this is the Brandon Jaberko, guys, that was just about in the inside fence. 2 laps later, he's out in front.
What a great recovery for that 3 car. And look at the Merchant. He makes a power move on the inside. He's going to leave the 93 out to drive. He's going to fall back now. Pileski is to that 96 of Keene, and he and Pileski are going to have to try and make the outside work because I'm looking back. There's no one else out there. Everyone else is on the inside.
It is a very fluid... Oh, more contact. The 93 car, Pileski trying to get the pinch. That's the second time that lap that he made contact with somebody. That time it was the number 92 with Rod Minton on the bottom. Single file up front for now, but I'm sure they'll be 2 wide within about 2 laps. These guys, they are taking advantage of a very racy setup, a very good draft build that they've been given in this new build that came out on Tuesday, for that matter. They're using it. They're not taking it easy by any means, considering the fact that when we talked to these guys pre-race about how nervous they were. And again, we talk about you do plate races every Friday, so it's not like you're talking about 2 times a year you're here. They do this all the time, but there was a lot of nerve. Had problems so far tonight. I'm surprised they're still being as aggressive as they are. Look at Jaberko up to the top side, the block Chris Pacini, and especially considering the fact, Andy, that a lot of our is the 3 over the 1 car.
Yeah, they do, and it's slightly a 3-car break right now as Pacini drops in the line right now. 2 car lengths right back to Pileski. A big run though off of turn number 2 that's going to accordion these guys right back into each other currently. And Jaberko, look at this guy taking off right now to the lead. Tough break last week. Got caught up in an accident that puts him in a tough spot of basically win to get in. And right now 4 cars though off of turn number 4, starting up one in the right behind him though. That's Chad Keene in the 96. He's going to choose the high side. He's going to have a little bit of help there as they cross the start-finish line.
The assistance is always appreciated. The next time by will be halfway home. Mark lap number 45 down, and we'll have 45 laps to go. Still at least 1 trip down to the pit lane on tap for these drivers. We're working out into the longest green flag stretch on the night. Your top 4 actually trying to get away. They have a pretty good gap in front of Chad Keene in 5th on back. Behind them, P5, you got 6th place, top side of the racetrack, Corey Henry, side by side back there. So although these cars have a really good suck up behind the car, they're actually spreading out, all things considered. The top 4, I would not be surprised if they try to single file out and try to pull away maybe a little bit.
And they're doing just that right now. Look at them. They have a little bit of a breakaway right now. Looks like maybe about half a second right now as we see the 21 car coming back off of pit road. But looks like Keene is trying to get that line organized, and they just can't get organized. But it looks like they're going to try and do it now, as it looks like Mitten's the only one caught on the outside right now as they try and get single file.
So behind them, they try to get single filed out. They want to catch your race leaders. Meanwhile, the gap continues to grow. The top 4 now 0.8 of a second in front of the field, and now past halfway home in the Sim HQ Motorsports 225. Let's take a look at our midway race leaderboard, brought to you by iRacing.com. Visit iRacing.com and sign up today for more information on the wide variety of racing possibilities on the web. Brandon Chiburko, your race leader at lap number 47. Seth the Merchant scored in second. Behind him, it's Chris Bassini and James Pileski, the top 4 drivers, 1 second in front of P5 Chad Keene. Behind him, it's Josh Ball in 6th. 7th is Ryan Pyland. 8th is Frank Bosilia the 3rd. Corey Henry 9th, and Ron Mitten in 10th.
Then right in 11th is Greg Hooks. And kind of, you have to go back to that second pack. That's kind of, it looks like they're about 8 seconds back in the lead. And that's got Matt Quick, Jason Altmans, Justin Anderson, Alex Helenar, and Christian Peterson. That's kind of your second pack right there that are just kind of cruising about 8 seconds off the lead.
These guys continue to spread things out. You talk about through 15th and as well through 20th position. More drivers on the lead lap. Matt Bontempi, 21st, 22nd, Donnie Giratano. You got Lessentine back in 23rd. 24th is Josh Hanner, 25th to Ryan Keys, 26th Haggerty, Rittenauer, and Harrington, 27 and 28. Those are the drivers still on the lead lap. Behind them, still plenty more, though. 1 lap down, and 29th is Larry Camp. And 30th position, 4 laps down, is Ramon Evans.
But right now, it looks like that 4-car breakaway. Oh, 31st through 40th right now. Sorry, jumping back to that. 31st is Glenn Hendrick. Ben Nile has pulled it behind the wall, called it a night. 38 of Jeff Figlin, he's running 33rd. 34th is Tommy Hall. 35th, Casey Malone. 36th, Derek Walker. 37th is Rodney Wofford. 38th is Paul Servant. 39th is Shane McEachin. And 40th is Logan Clampett. And Dana Osborne's going to round out the starters. And 41st, 24 laps down. The other 2 cars did not start the race.
That has been a look at your iRacing.com mid-race leaderboard, brought to you by iRacing, the leader in motorsport simulations and the official sim racing partner of NASCAR. Pit stops on tap. Brandon Chiburko going to lead us all down pit road, and he and Seth the Merchant, no surprise, they're the most aggressive down to the pit lane. They come in for their service. Big problems for the one, though. Chris Bassini in a spot to win this race. He needed a win to advance to the next round of the championship, and he was coming into his stall, and he got plowed by Corey Henry. I can promise you the Pennzoil Chevy, he's got to be furious.
Yeah, this is going to hurt him big time right here. First of all, the damage. Second, all the time lost on pit road. Obviously, the people he came down with, all the front runners, not going to leave pit road with those front runners. The only good benefit he's got currently right now looks like the 21 of Hedrick came down pit road. We'll see if he can time it decently with him, but that's going to be about his only hope that he has right now. Is looks like nobody's going to be leaving pit road at the same time as him, so a tough break right there for Passini. He's going to be all by himself here as he gets back on the track.
And we talked about an aggressive entry to the pit lane. You know, as much as it's a bad deal there with that one Cisco getting hit by the 12, he's got a very early pit stall, so when he has an aggressive entry, they kind of cut that pit road a little bit. They don't make the kind of progressive left. They kind of straighten out that pit road entry. So when you come into the pit lane, you're way out at the grass. So by making that aggressive entry, you're putting yourself in the spot to turn back across the racetrack, or rather back across the active pit lane to get to your stall. So maybe you got to back it off a little bit, take it a little bit easier in. He didn't do that. I'm sure he's still not happy with the 12 machine, and I'm sure the 12 machine in that heat of the moment coming down to speed really didn't have much of an option to get on the brakes any harder, or he would have slowed down much sooner onto the pit lane. An unfortunate piece of contact, though, because that one machine was doing everything he needed to.
And I'm kind of scratching my head at that because Corey Henry and Chris Piscini are in the same radio channel. So I feel like Piscini would have let Henry know, hey, you know, I got an early pit stall. Maybe jump a little bit to the outside since we're coming in so hot, or maybe they just didn't think of it or whatever happened. But bottom line is Chris Piscini's now 27th. I mean, we do have to cycle through pit road, but he's finally catching cars to draft with. But they're just going to leave him for dead on the outside.
And that would be a fun radio channel to be in at this moment, I would imagine. The drivers that have yet to pit are 13th on up. Sean Turner currently leading this race behind the wheel of the number 36 Bank of America Chevrolet. Out in front of the field right now. With him is Daniel Ferguson and Kent Connolly in that 3-car lead draft. Second pack of the racetrack led by Rod Flagg come down from 4th on back. Rod Flagg is in for service. Matt Bontempi, Johnny Giratano, Stephanie Lessentin, Josh Hanner, championship drivers in there, as well as Ryan Keese and the number 87 Ray Rittenauer.
And that's just going to hurt Piscini even more because that was the pack he was closest to, and I'm looking around. He's got no one around him. But meanwhile, those cars on pit road, it looks like tires going to be the call here. I'm guessing 4 right now. Yep, I'm seeing left sides go down, so it was 4 tires for a lot of these guys.
4 tires, the name of the game now. Still shy of 30 laps to go in this race. Can you make it on one additional stop? Sean Turner's going to give up the race lead. Daniel Ferguson, Kent Connolly will come down to the pit lane with him. So your top 3 running drivers on track are all in for service at lap number 53. This should turn the race lead back over once everything cycles back out. Seth the Merchant is the lead driver of everybody that has pitted. The 42 was scored in 8th position the last time by the start-finish line. Well, you will see where all of this rounds up to, but I'm pretty sure that mellow yellow Chevy should be out in front.
Yeah, it should be out up front, and this almost comes into play like we talk about at these other tracks, like the intermediate tracks, that once those leaders come down pit road, you lose time and you lose drafting help, you lose drafting partners. So it's tough for some of these guys to make their way down pit road at an earlier time than maybe that they want to, and they want to force the issue and go a little bit further. That's exactly what the 36 of Sean Turner did, along with a couple other guys. So they lost a lot of time, I believe, on the pit road. So it's either do or die. It's hit or miss whether that type of strategy works out for you. But this little pack we got going on here, about 7 cars there, which ultimately are battling for the lead. That's a pretty stout list of names we got right there.
Jared Haggerty has received a throughput fall to an unacceptable level. One of the drivers that was in that secondary pack with Rod Flagg before they did come down and get service. He'll try to reconnect to the race. Not a major factor in the championship, as Haggerty not one of the drivers in the iSuperChase on this season. Returning to the racetrack as of a couple of weeks ago, looking forward to a full-time Season 6 program, but running all of these final chase races, looking for wins. Tonight, not going to find one. So Seth the Merchant, Brandon Chiburko, they end up 1-2. I am extremely impressed, though, with Frank Basilius' number 94 machine, because that car, I mean, it was pretty junked. It still's pretty junked, but he's in 3rd.
And it still looks like a bit of a mess right now. The kind of hood's crumpled up right there. I'm surprised that engine's lasted that long, Andy.
Yeah, and it's just I was going to say or ask you. I mean, you drive more of these plate tracks than I do, and having front end damage, as long as you're tucked up underneath that guy in front of you, and you got somebody, I guess, helping with the push behind you. I think Frank Brasilia is in a pretty good spot. Maybe not a spot to challenge for the lead towards the end of the race, because I feel once he punches out into a different lane and maybe is that lead car, that's where we'll see the front end damage cause an effect.
Yeah, I think he's really not going to have the car, I think, to lead anything. He'd have to get one heck of a run, I think, to make a run on the outside, and the 48's helping a little bit, but I'm also seeing a little damage on that 48 Lowe's machine. So I'm kind of looking back through the pack. I think apart from the 42, I think I see damage on every other car in this pack. I mean, we saw Trouble 42 get sideways.
Oh my
they save
gosh,
it, though.
Seth the Merchant. That, and again, with the 3 Turbo, that's just a little bit of bumper hook. We saw the contact that took the 7 machine out of the race lead in this one earlier for Rodney Watford. That's how that happened. A little bit of contact damage, and there was a big wreck. So for Rodney Watford, by the way, is 37th. He was 3rd in the points into tonight's race in the iSuperChase grid. That is not looking good for him at all. And that just about took out DeMerchant and Chaburko. And if they weren't damaged before, they are now. Very close call up front. Luckily, that lead pack is only 7 cars deep. 8th on back is over 11 seconds away. So although it was a huge checkup and an abrupt one, they did it with relative success. DeMerchant gonna back off the gas and tell him to go topside, though he's actually given up the race lead to the 3 of Chaburko.
Yeah, Chaburko doing a great job. As we saw him, like, at the beginning of the race, jump out to that 3 wide, and he tried that the week prior to that. It's Seth the Merchant's getting some heat right now from Pileski. Pileski going to the outside. He's bringing Ryan Pilon, with him right now. So kind of an odd situation right here where the top line's got 5 cars in it. The bottom side only has 1 right now, and that's not something very comforting Seth the Merchant wants to feel right now.
And he's going by on the bottom, which is interesting because he came over the radio, and I believe he told him to go high, so he's actually dropping back on the bottom. You see the 93 of Pileski actually going to pull down, so they leave out the 41 of Ryan Pilon topside. The 41 not going to be allowed by. He'll have to drop back down. But somehow, I'm not sure how they executed it this well. Chad Keene is beginning to slowly fall off at the tail end of this lead pack, so it's soon going to become 6 cars plus 1 when you talk about Keene. It's going to be a while before that 96 falls back to Peterson, but I mean, they made 12 seconds on those guys during green flag pit stops. It's a lot of time for a group of 7 drivers to get. We talked about when these guys came down pit road, a couple of the guys that came down with them had problems, but it's not like they made a tire strategy. They took 4 tires, so did everybody else. That shows you how much execution will get you, though. That's about a quarter of a second, or rather a quarter of a lap advantage almost that you're giving yourself there.
Yeah, it's an incredible job by this lead pack to get out there, and I was starting to mention how it really looked like DeMerchant was the only car without damage, but now that's definitely not the case, as it looks like everyone in this lead pack has damage, but it's not really affecting them. But right now, Chaburko's leading this pack, and he's doing a pretty good job. A little bit of shuffling between this pack, but looking back, it looks like the 96 has tried to line up with the, looks like the 12 of Corey Henry and the 83 Ramon Evans. Evans, though, has a ton of damage. I think he's just out there making laps, but you have to jump. I'm looking 12, 13 seconds back there to find Christian Peterson, who's running 8th, running in the top 10, but you wouldn't know it.
And they're well off there, so not even in a situation now where, you know, guys hang back because they want to stay out of the incidents. We saw a lot of guys, Andy, change their mind, I think, in the opening 10 laps. They said, I'll race it out, and then they saw what was happening and said, no, thank you. They dropped back. When you're 14 seconds behind in a case like this, after green flag pit stops, 30 laps to go the last time around, that's not a position that you want to be in. You're no longer back there by design. If this goes green, you can't do anything about it.
No, you can't. I mean, the best thing you can do is get lined up and hope that your draft of 5, 6, 7 cars or something is that of equal to the leaders right now. And that second pack is only 5 cars currently right now, so I just don't think they have enough steam or enough horsepower between all the cars together to mount a charge here. But I think this goes to show the tire wear that this racetrack has now, and the tires that iRacing has set up in this, is that as the run goes on, these cars get tighter. Then these guys kind of, because they came down to pit earlier, I think that tire advantage actually played into effect in the time that they have. It's not only just how quickly they got on and off pit road, but I really think that by pitting a little bit earlier, I think that gave these guys a real big advantage.
And for everything that Frank Wasili has been through with the contact tonight, for everything that Brandon Chaburko has been through tonight, the fact that these two drivers are running 1-2, is spectacular. And the order in which all of these guys are running in works for all of them. It's not like we have a guy that needs a win running in third here. Brandon Chiburko, if he wins this race, he goes on. Again, he was 21 points behind the cut line. That was his only option. Frank Wasilia was out by 1 point. He is beating Josh Hanner by more than 1 point at this moment, so he's good. Just behind Josh Ball. Ball was in by 7 points, so Ball's in a good position. Seth the Merchant was up by 20 points into tonight, running in 5th. He's at a good spot. So there's no reason for these guys. I mean, they're going to race for the win, and I know we always talk about it in the B main, and that is don't do it. Just cross the start-finish line. Don't battle late. In a case like this, I would almost not be surprised if they just stay like this. Sure, they're probably going to go 2x2 for the win, Cisco, but in a case where all of you sit now means you're going to the next round, there's no reason for somebody to make a crazy last-ditched effort. Now, that's a completely different story for all of our chase guys outside of this group. They need a caution flag.
Yeah, they really do, but, you know, at the end of the day, Evan, I mean, come on, if you're Frank Basilio, you're sitting second right now. You got one car in front of you, between you and, you know, one of those trophies. Come on, you know, you got one lap. What could possibly happen? It's got to be going through your mind a little bit. Just maybe I can get to his outside, get a little help from the 48 or something as they run right now. I mean, we talk about all the time. These guys love to just race it. Like, we're usually used to seeing, if we see plate tracks in different leagues that kind of only go there, you know, 4 times a year or something like that, we see a lot of, you know, people being really careful, and I'm seeing a little bit of smoke right now, and that's from the 07 of Derek Walker. So he's gonna, that looks like that's terminal right there. But we talk about, these guys love to race. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw them going side by side at the end here.
Based on how many times, Andy, we've seen guys be top 5 in the B main with a ticket to the A main and wreck out, I'd have to agree with that statement. Although I don't think it's the smartest idea, I wouldn't be surprised if they go at it.
Well, they have to go at it. I mean, it's for a win. I mean, it's
a trophy on the line. Again, it's not just about advancing. And for those that don't tune in normally on Friday nights, we're not saying they're going to walk away with the hardware. Virtually every single winner at an iSuperspeedway feature gets a trophy. So there's a legitimate trophy and possibly cash on the line here.
Yeah, it's a big deal. I mean, who doesn't want that trophy to put on the mantle? Who doesn't want you know, your name in the record books for a win? I mean, all these guys right here in the top pack here, the top 6 guys right now, all the way back to Ryan Pilot, they all want that win. They want the prestige of you know, getting that interview from Victory Lane. I mean, that's why they show up every week. That's why you race. That's why you know, there is only one winner. You know, I mean, it's not. Yeah, yes, I can move on, but you know what? I don't care. I'm going for the win. You know, and you're gonna see these guys do that. But you know, they got one more pit stop to go, and I think they need to get through that. I think they all realize that they're content with the way they're going right now, 12 and a half, almost 13 seconds above that second pack. They're starting in the 7th spot with Matt Quick. So, you know what? Just survive this run right here. Wait till we got a pit. Come down pit road. No mistakes. Get back out there, and these guys will be fine. They'll be they'll be in their same pack that they're in, and they'll just have another advantage as far as you know, coming down pit road, getting those fresh tires and getting it done, and then go after it. You know, I mean, you're not going to win on lap 70 or 75 or 80. You're going to win on lap 93, and that's basically what it is. And I think these top 6 guys just, they know what position they're in right now. They know, you know, they don't know how the race is going to unfold because they don't know what's going on behind them, if there's going to be a caution or anything like that to really change this thing up. But for now, they're playing the hand that was dealt to them, and I think they're all doing the right thing right now. Is just ride, just survive, just be where, you know, get the best possible spot they can be in for the end of the race.
Something that is often overlooked as well is the difficulty to get down pit road cleanly from 200 miles an hour, to get serviced, and to get back out there on track in a pack. Now, I mentioned speeds. There is a huge difference here from this week and last week. And if you go back and watch the first race of this round in the chase from last Friday on LSRTV, average speed in the corner for somebody, about 205, 206 miles an hour. These guys are topping out at about 190 through the center of the turn. They're hitting 193, 194 into the corner after the straightaway, but they are significantly slower than they were last week. Not that 10 miles an hour is making anything any easier on these guys. You saw a close call there with some lap traffic, but that's a 15 mile an hour difference. That's pretty big.
Yeah, but you don't notice that when you're in the car. I mean, these guys don't have speedometers. They're racing as hard as they can, and honestly, and we can't tell the difference except the fact that we know it because we can see how fast they're running. That's a huge difference of 15 miles an hour, but when you're actually in that car and everybody's going the same speed, they can't tell. They really can't.
It doesn't slow things down at all in the car because, you're talking about 50 miles an hour, but when you're talking about at 200 miles an hour, that's not much more than a 7% or 10% decrease in speed overall. Not a big difference. Plus, the handling of the car is still a bit of concern tonight. 20 laps to go at Daytona. Possibly one final round of pit stop. Still on the horizon at iSuperChase Race 2. We're 20 laps away from sending 4 iSuperChase competitors home as the Super 10 round draws to a close tonight. We'll step away one final time. We go LSRTV nonstop as Josh Ball leads the field down the Daytona Superstretch.
Once its sights are set, nothing can stop the ferocious lion from capturing its prey. Relying on keen senses, lions search patiently before striking with alarming speed. Wait for it. Gotcha, Mr. Piece of Rubbish. He is truly the master of his environment. Do good, be a lion.
We're back at Daytona. Major problems for championship contenders. At a turn number 2, lap car, the 33 of Larry Camp, 7 laps down on the outside of the racetrack, gets into the wall by himself. He comes down, and there is heavy damage to Frank Basilia, championship contender, in a spot to advance now, has engine damage and is forced down pit road. There is no caution, and I don't know what just happened. Unbelievable that Ani Ford's in.
It almost looked like his wheel locked, Andy. I'm not really sure what happened. As we have a huge bottleneck. Meanwhile, as I was looking down pit road, there's a huge bottleneck I'm seeing right now with the 77, the 89. Those guys are all bottlenecked together, but what just happened?
That 33, something happened. I don't know if it broke or something, but man, he just came down. He almost took out that whole 6-car pack. I think it's fortunate that it was only 3 of them that was involved and not all 6 of them. But I mean, that's, Pileski, the 94 Busilia, and obviously Chris Pylan involved also. But we talk about the closing rate of these speeds, and nowhere to go. I mean, it happened so quickly in front of you, and
They didn't see him because they were behind each other in line.
Yeah. But that's just so, I don't know. It's just so odd that one car spin like that in the 33. That's something had to break or something. Fell asleep at the wheel. I don't know.
You don't think he popped a tire, did you?
Hey, who knows?
And
the only
there's
one
a
that
lot
would be able
of,
to know or tell us is the 33.
There's a lot of conversation on the radio right now, and I can promise you that it's not happy chatter. And I'd like to pass on what they're saying. Unfortunately, I'm not able to do so. Based on what I saw on board with Larry Camp, the wheel was still functional. At the time, he was still inputting the wheel. He just lost focus for a second, but he hit the fence. And Frank Basilia now in a spot where, after being 7th in the points, and I talked about how, guys, that lead group, they were good. Where they were, everybody was good. They were going to be okay. Now that green flag pit stops begin, Josh Ball gives up the race lead to come down to get serviced. He is back out. Frank Basilia's car is done for the night. He's fallen to 22nd. If he does not advance to round number 6, he'll be raising some hell after this one. I have seen some crazy stuff, but I don't think anything that crazy when you talk about championship implications.
And Chaperko just passed on the apron, coming off pit road. Look at him. He's straddling the yellow line, using all the racetrack, and he just passed Josh Ball for the provisional lead on the apron.
So the 3 car has been 3 wide on track and 2 wide on the access road tonight to take over the race lead. He is followed by Josh Ball, Chris Passini, Seth the Merchant. Passini, again, 22 points out of the cut. I mean, if there's one person that you don't want to see get taken out, it would have been Chaburko and as well that one of Passini, because they had the biggest point gap backwards. If the 3 or the 1 are the cars that get involved at that, Andy, they're absolutely guaranteed to be done. Where Basilia sits right now, again, he's still in a terrible spot way down the standings in 24th position. He is still in a spot where he might be able to make it. Not that you want anybody to get in an accident over somebody else, because it's just a terrible, you go through 14 races, you're in your 15th race on the season, you're a series champion, you've outsmarted everybody on pit road, you're good to go into the next round, and your hopes at walking away with the championship are taken out by a car 7 laps down. It hurts. There's no caution either, so it doesn't look like there's going to be any stop to the bleeding.
No, there isn't, and without the reset, he can't even get that thing fixed 100% and back out there. So, our six car lead pack is gonna be only 3 cars once everything cycles back through here, which looks like it just did. So, yeah, it's just unfortunate, man. I mean, what? I don't know what happened there. I think I'm still trying to figure out what went wrong there for the 33, but. Man, that's just something you didn't want to see. But yeah, Frank Basilia, he's got his work cut out for him now with a damaged race car, and that's one thing you don't want at a
I don't think he's
like
going to be able to get back out at this point. He's fallen to 4 laps down now in 25th, and I don't even think he's behind the wheel anymore.
Hey, he probably had terminal engine issues, which would be at least a half an hour on pit road, and obviously with this race winding down right now, only about 14 or 15 laps left. He's not going to obviously get that thing fixed to get back out there.
So with that, we try to come to grips with what entirely is going on here at Daytona. Brandon Chaburko now out in front. Josh Ball, Seth the Merchant, the lead draft of 3 drivers. And all of a sudden, the one of Chris Passini has some left rear damage on that Pennzoil machine. He was with your race leaders. We talked about it, but because he was the last car in line out of these 4 and was limping a little bit, he has now fallen off of the connection with those 3. He is now well behind those guys that he was drafted with and may now begin to slide down the standings. And for somebody that was 22 points behind, you can't afford to give much up.
I mean, Passini was hoping, being a lap car, that he would be able to hold on to the back of those guys and maybe just hold on to being 1 lap down. But now, looks like Passini's falling into the clutches now, the 25 and the 088. That's Connolly and Ferguson, and he's actually racing those guys. So this will be interesting right now. He's actually not racing the 088, but he is racing the 25, so that's actually a battle right now for 19th.
Battle for the race lead goes to Josh Ball. He goes topside. He gets a push from Seth the Merchant. They take over the race lead from Brandon Chaburko. 9 laps to go. This time at Daytona, lap 81 goes into the books. We're 9 laps from lap number 90 to end this race in a spot where it looks like if we go green through this one, Josh Ball will be safe, Seth the Merchant will, and that's basically all we can guarantee. By the way, we talked about the big problems for Frank Basilia earlier. He had a spectacular recovery. It seems futile now at this point. Give a call to Jason Altmans. That car was junked as well, Andy. He's P5 now and in a spot to transfer.
Yeah, that's good news. But listen, some are going to make it in, some are going to make it out. They all know it going in, and it can change with every lap. So, you know what, guys like Jason Altmans, you never give up. He's in that second pack. He's running 5th, but he's almost 15 seconds out of it. No chance for a win, but he's doing what he has to do with what he's got. And what he's got right now is a top 5 car. He's just got to maintain that spot, keep himself in there, and as these leaders just start playing leapfrog with each other, I think trying to keep the engines cool. They know they got a huge lead on these guys. This is just like what the top 6 were doing. Just ride, get as much laps as you can, get this thing towards the end, and then battle it out on the last lap. And instead of a 6-car battle, we got ourselves a 3-car battle.
And again, I'm still not 100% clear on what has happened. We close it on the final 5 laps. What are your last opportunities to get in the conversation? You can use the hashtag SHQM for an opportunity to win a 3-month iRacing subscription for a new membership. Go on Twitter, tweet the hashtag SHQM, SimHQ Motorsports, title sponsor on tonight's 225-miler event. Use the hashtag I can't even get it right. SHQM. Difficult to understand there. Get that in there. You could also use the hashtag LSRTV. Get an opportunity. We have a couple of 3-month iRacing memberships to hand out. That's been open all night long. Your last opportunity, hashtag SHQM, and you can get in on that. So your race leaders, 3 cars is not typically referred to as the most exciting amount of guys to do battle for the race lead. They've got a good gap, though. They might make this fun.
Yeah, it'll be interesting here because, these 3 guys, they're just going to be shooting it out, Andy, here. And, it'll be interesting here because they're far enough away. They don't have to worry about anyone else. So these 3 can just shoot it out amongst themselves.
Yeah, well, listen, one of those guys that's in there, that the 3, Brandon Chaburko, you're telling me he's just going to be content to ride there and finish 3rd? I don't think so. Talk about any of those top 3, they all obviously want to win. But, there's a guy right there in that 3 that's just saying, when is he ever content with running where he's at? No, he wants to go for the win, and he's slowly, methodically, I'm sure, picking out his strategy of when he's going to go, when he's going to make a run on these guys. How many laps are going to be left when he does it. He doesn't want to do it too soon so they can rally back and come back at him. It's a timing thing, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, having that 3-car. As one of those guys in the top 3 there with a chance to win, that's definitely one guy that's not going to sit this thing and just ride.
And Chaburko and Josh Ball they're both in the same radio at least. Seth the Merchant, he's in a different channel, so I don't know, do you think Chaburko and Ball might try and team up on the 42?
Chaburko's at a spot where he might need to win this race. We talk about the 42 as Seth the Merchant. He was 2nd into points. He's good if he doesn't win this race. Josh Ball was 7 points into good. He's good if he doesn't win. Based on what we've seen tonight, as we take now 4 laps to go at Daytona, I think Chaburko would be okay with a P3, but being at the very bottom of the barrel, 21 points behind the cut line into tonight, if I'm him, I don't want to, Andy, stay in 2nd spot, assuming that I'm going to be okay based on the problems that my competitors have had, and then miss it by 1 or 2 points. So that 3 of Chaburko's got the most to lose if he doesn't win this race.
Yeah, and you know what? Maybe he's talking to the 48 and the 42, saying, "Hey, come on, guys, you got to get me. You got to let me get this one. I got to, But out of those 2, are you going to see them guys pull over and just say, "Yeah, here, go ahead, take the win"? I don't think so.
If anything, I don't think they want him to
one of the
advance.
best competitors out here.
I don't think they want him to
How are
advance.
you going to just let him win? Because then you know what's going to happen after that. Next week he goes out, gets another win. Next thing you know, you're not in, and you just let this guy basically, you got him in for free, basically. And so I don't think they're just going to roll over and let him go. I mean, there's no team orders in this group right here. It's just flat out race, see who wins.
I would work against that 3 machine because Brandon Chiburko is a series champion in this. I don't want to give him an opportunity to win a title if I'm these two.
And I was seeing the 3 and the 42 a couple times down the backstretch. They're kind of tagging each other a little bit here. So I think it's already starting to kick off here as it looks like we're going to take 2 to go at the line. This is going to get a little bit interesting here. A little bit of like a chess match. And
contact
really
again.
big problems.
DeBurko likes to do that. So does DeMerchant. He looked to the high side. He knows Seth is going to block him. So the 42 came up. The 3 tried to shoot to the bottom, and he just nicked that bumper of the 42. And I think both of them get a little bit of damage and all of that. That was a close call. If DeBurko was maybe an inch further back, he'd be in the race lead right now. He's looking to cross him over. If you're Seth DeMerchant, Andy, we've seen this so many times on Fridays. Don't bite on the fake. Hold the bottom.
Yep, hold that bottom line, hold that yellow line. That's it's hard to make that pass on the outside. They're going to try it right here. Josh Paul going to try to give that 3 a push. They get separated just a bit right there, but side draft typically works for that 3 car. We'll see if we can get things done as they hit the stripe this time. 4 laps to go.
It'll be 2.5 miles to go. White flag at Daytona. It is Brandon Chiburko out in front. Can he get clear? He does. The 3 car to turn 1.
And that might have spelt the end of the 48. I don't think he can get enough of a run unless he gets behind that 42, pushes him past, and then tries to make the move. But this is going to get a really interesting 42 with the move to the bottom. This is going to be really close as they head down the back straightaway for the final time.
There's half a lap to go. Can the 42 and the 48 work together on Chiburko? The crossover to the bottom. He shuts the door. That's going to kill the momentum for both the 42 of Seth DeMerchant and the 48 of Josh Ball. I don't think they're going to have enough time to get to him. Turn 4, final time. DeMerchant's got to run to the outside. Chiburko puts him in the wall. They'll spin at a turn number 4. Brandon Chiburko going to win at Daytona. Josh Ball second. Seth DeMerchant will roll across the start-finish line in P3. I think they're all going to make it to the round of 6.
Oh, my God, right there. Are you kidding me? Of course the 3 wasn't going to get it. He don't care. He's going to put you in the wall. He's going to stay out in front. That was a bold move right there. I'm not surprised. A great job by Brandon Chiburko right there. He is the king of the side draft. He's also the king of the block. He just knows when to go down. He broke that momentum of Seth DeMerchant going into turn number 3.
That's definitely a way of breaking momentum.
Oh, my God.
Into the fence
He
tends
does
to do
it
that.
so well, though.
Once he's close enough to the point where he can slide across the start-finish line, you're not getting around him.
I think he kind of comboed the slide and the block and turned that into one move right there, and it was just sliding for straight in the wall.
And Ball might have got him. The 48 was pedaling, but he got clipped by Seth DeMerchant. Nonetheless, out of all of the ways that could have finished, with it being Chiburko, Ball, and DeMerchant, I believe that allows all 3 of them to advance to the superior 6th round. Brandon Chiburko needed a win. He got the job done, and he will continue to fight for a 2nd career championship into the Superior 6. We'll try to break down what happened. There's a lot of big names that are going to be very close on the cut line after they had very interesting nights, and we'll try to break down what the iSuperChase grid will look like after the round of 10. 3 races to go, 2 more rounds remain, and 4 drivers have just been eliminated from this championship. We'll get those numbers in a moment. The post-race show from the Daytona International Speedway. In a moment, you're watching LSRTV's coverage of the iSuperspeedway.com racing series iSuperChase on iRacing Live.
But here comes Gregor Hutu into Canada corner for the final time. Just 2 corners left to go before he finally makes himself a triumphant return back to victory lane. He has led 38 laps of this event here today, and Gregor Hutu once again is a winner. Gregor Hutu will work himself through the Cobra Parabolica. He will claim his 46th victory in iRacing.com World Championship competition. Gregor Hutu, for the second race in a row, reigns supreme.
The one thing that I think is most important is we've been racing this Ground Championship Series for quite some time now, a very long time even at that, and he is the only driver to have ever won a professional road race at Watkins Glen.
But there is nothing that could crack that finish #1 Team Redline driver. Gregor Hutu works himself out the final corner, and just as he did in 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014, in 2015, Hutu once again wins at Watkins Glen.
Hutu will come across the line and takes the win for round 7 here at Virginia International Raceway.
Here he comes now, just 3 corners left to go, into Brooklands for the final time, into Luffield for the final time. Never ever say that Gregor Hutu is beaten, because he just comes back bigger, he comes back stronger. He wins round number 9 of the World Championship Series, 49th win of his career. If you're the world's greatest racing driver, you can do it with your statements on the road courses. Do it when it matters. Out of the final corner for the final time, number 50 for Gregor Hutu, out of the final corner. At the top of the broadcast, we said if Hutu could win here today, he could well cement himself as the championship favourite. Gregor Hutu, the #1 machine, back to victory lane, win number 51. Hutu is inching closer rapidly to his 5th, and yes, I say that correctly, his 5th World Championship. Out of the bus stop chicane comes the #1 Team Redline driver. Gregor Hutu will win here at Circuit Spa Francorchamps. Yes, you may be behind a computer with a steering wheel and a set of pedals, but for these drivers, this is as close as they may ever get to racing in real life. It will be Gregor Hutu coming past the line. He is a 5-time world champion. Gregor Hutu wins the championship one more time. He is the greatest driver in the history of open wheel racing here at iRacing.com, and dare I say it, he is the greatest open wheel champion in the history of sim racing.
On the outside, contact made. 56 slides it at a 4. Who's going to be at the stripe? Dead even. Give it to Ryan Truex. Truex is your winner over Tandy.
Monza is a very historic track. It's been around since the 20s, and it's gone through several permutations since then. we're also bringing forward a number of configurations. So there's chicanes that they've installed since the track's early days. So they can use original, very high-speed configurations of the track where the cars would just blow through where the chicanes are today, or they could use a more modern version. So it's a pretty cool, compelling track. The unique thing about Monza is it has a road course, but it also has a high-speed oval. And that high-speed oval can be run by itself. The Grand Prix course can be run by itself. And they also can be run together in a combined circuit, which is very unique and special in motorsports. This was one of the more challenging projects that we've undertaken. It was essentially building 2 tracks in one. It took a lot of time and a lot of care was put into it, but we're really happy about the end result and we think that people have a lot of fun driving it.
Once its sights are set, nothing can stop the ferocious lion from capturing its prey. Relying on keen senses, lions search patiently before striking with alarming speed. Wait for it. Gotcha, Mr. Piece of Rubbish. He is truly the master of his environment. Do good, be a lion.
Trucking has always been a part of me. It started years ago when my dad and granddad were hauling vegetables to market in Liverpool. The family immigrated to Canada in the late 60s and settled near Alliston, Ontario. I bought my first truck in 1982 and Mercer Trucking was born. Today, Mercer Trucking has over 50 trucks in terminals in Toronto and Los Angeles. Our storage facilities at both terminals can handle any size of distribution needs throughout North America. We service the continental U.S., including Hawaii and Alaska. We run over 120,000 miles per month and some of the best equipment on the road today. We specialize in less than truckload shipments, show freight, we do rush team service deliveries, and haul your refrigerated or heated product. Our regular team service from Canada to California is second to none, and our staff and drivers are among the best in the business. I'm proud of our people and what they can achieve.
We're back live at Daytona.
Trucking
Currently a big
blood.
discussion going on outside of the iSuperspeedway hauler. You're taking a look at the replay on that final lap. Contact between Brandon Chiburko in front of the field. Seth the Merchant with the run top side. The block, both of those cars go into the outside wall. It looks like Chiburko goes on to win the race. Josh Ball comes home second, and Seth the Merchant spins home in third. That finishing order would allow Brandon Chiburko to advance to the next round because he needed a win. Seth the Merchant was in on points, same with Josh Ball. However, the ruling from race control at this moment is that the number 3 Chevrolet has been penalized for the block that he put on the 42. So the current updated unofficial standing still that we have is that the 48 of Josh Ball is your winner. Seth the Merchant in second. Brandon Chiburko is only dropped to third, but I believe we don't have points official as of this moment. The way that that sits has the 3 Brandon Chiburko not advancing to the next round. That opens up the door for another driver to bump into the advancing position. We've seen a lot of exciting finishes and exciting races this season, Andy. This finish, though, puts that number 3 of Brandon Chiburko out of the championship. And Cheburko's argument in this, and again, we've been listening in on their conversation in front of the Rodcar hauler at this moment, is that that's what he had to do. We're talking about the iSuperChase. We're talking about the elimination rounds. And a good, I guess, analogy to bring up in this is that Seth DeMerchant just so happens to be the 42. That's Kyle Larson's number. If you look back to Phoenix last year in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, Ryan Newman is out, Jeff Gordon is in. Newman wrecks Kyle Larson to get to the next round. By him wrecking Kyle Larson, Larson is not affected because Larson's not in the championship, and Newman moves on. No problem there in NASCAR. And again, road car rules are not the same as NASCAR, but just to compare. So here's Seth DeMerchant gets wrecked. He loses the win. That's still a trophy. That's still cash prizes. It's a big deal. But by doing that, it doesn't affect Seth because Seth still would have advanced, and Cheburko had to do that to advance. So with the ruling right now from Race Control, Cheburko is out. Josh Ball's handed the win. What are your thoughts?
Listen, I can see it in both ways. I honestly can. We saw it. You talk about the Ryan Newman thing last year in NASCAR. Just look at this year at Talladega, what Kevin Harvick did. He had a car that should have been parked because he had no power in it at a super speedway track, and instead he wrecks the field. He literally wrecks the field. Nothing happens. He advances, and it was Dale Jr. that was the one that didn't advance. So I mean, I'm glad I'm not Race Control. To have to make this decision is just unbelievable. But listen, I can see it both ways. Brandon Cheburko did what he had to do to get the race win in order to move on. If that's stripped from him, it's stripped from him. A rule's a rule. That there's nothing you can do about it. Was it dirty? Maybe. Was it maybe uncalled for? Maybe. Did Seth have the run and he got up on next to him? Probably. Would he necessarily have still had enough momentum by the time they got to the stripe to get by him? We don't know. You'll never know. It's just, I don't know. I thought it was just an exciting last lap. Cheburko was in the position he needed to be in. He got up to the front. I don't know. Did he have to put him in the wall like he did? Maybe
we
not.
have seen many times, and even with Cheburko this season, where somebody goes topside and he goes up there, and all that happens is they rub doors all the way till the line.
Yeah.
This just happens to be that the point of contact was the right rear, so they both went into the wall. When you're watching it, you see somebody put somebody into the fence, and I like the comment after the race we were talking about. You said he's good at slowing down someone's momentum. I said, well, it tends to happen when you put him in the fence. You can see
I was
again.
talking more of turn 3 where he just cut right down in front of him, Yeah, the left.
I mean, it's tight, Cisco.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of with Andy. I'm definitely glad I'm not Race Control right now because I would not want to have to make this call. But looks like the points are starting to roll in now, though. So Evan, I'll send it back to you. But yeah, I'm not really sure what the right call is here.
If you look at it, in this scenario, and I don't like to speak upon rules based on scenarios because I know, Andy, that leaves a lot of gray area. But with that being said, if you look at the circumstances of this, if you're talking about bringing in the rules circumstantially, then Brandon Cheburko should not be penalized because what he did not affect anybody else advancing. It got him the win. If you're talking about the rules can have no gray area, then absolutely he should be penalized because of what he did. But again, you mentioned based on the chase format that what we're seeing, he did what he had to do. So if we're talking about the result of this is that if he wins the race, the guy that he wrecked is not hurt by it. Everybody moves on. Everybody's happy, quote unquote. With the penalty, Cheburko is now out of the points by our numbers by it looks like in the range of about 10 points back to Roddy Wofford, just 5 points. So Cheburko as of now will not advance with the penalty.
Yeah, he's not going to advance with the penalty, but you look at somebody that wouldn't have made it. Wofford wouldn't have made it. If Cheburko got the win. So I mean.
So if you can't reverse it, because then Wofford's saying, "Hey," because then he's getting,
Yeah, exactly.
It's a tough call.
But he can appeal the penalty. So if he appeals the penalty and it gets overturned by his peers, then it will if he gets overturned, then the question is, which is what they did with Jeff Gordon, is that you say, okay, well, it got overturned, but now Wofford was in, so now you got to make, instead of a Super 6, you got a Super 7 next week.
And again, all of this, but at the moment, the finishing order is Josh Ball is scored as your race winner. He will come home in the number 1 position. It is a second place result for the 42 of Seth the Merchant. Brandon Chiburko's number 3 comes home in 3rd spot at this point. So the points that we have are based on this finish. And I'll turn the mic over to Rod Flag. Rod, down in the trailer. It's been quite an eventful 10 minutes for you. I know there's a lot of people not happy with you, a lot of people that agree with you. From the administration standpoint, talk us through the race review there at the finish.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're in a situation where the finish of the race was not exactly the cleanest situation we would have liked to seen. Basically at a turn 4, the 42 had a run and did get position over the 3 car and had a run on the high side. The 3 car came up, made contact with the 42, put the 42 in the wall, which the league has deemed that was a reckless move that should not have happened, that did manipulate the outcome of the race. And so because of that, the next driver who had the best finishing order was awarded the victory, which was the 48 car Josh Ball. And so the 48 is going to victory lane tonight, and will advance to the next round of the iSuperChase.
I don't know with the appeal process that, I would assume that the 3 team would appeal, why wouldn't you? They might as well take a shot at that and go to their hopes there. Based on the fact that the finishing result changes the championship standings and the advancement, on the current points based on our current standings, Rodney Wofford advances as a 6th seed. If the race were to be reviewed and if that decision was to be overturned at all, if Chiburko is given the win, he gets a bye. That would then drop Wofford out. Would that then eliminate that car? Because I know it is a very sticky situation for you guys.
Yeah, we're not going to make a decision on that yet. Certainly I want to look at all situations and all avenues before we, if we would go down that route of an appeal. Certainly there could be some additional consideration for the 7 team. Is obviously they at this point have earned their way into the iSuperChase next round. So we'll take a look at that there. I fully expect the 3 team will appeal, and we'll go through the triage process to take a look at that. Certainly. So, we've been very consistent with these type of calls. We have actually done a very similar situation in the past where a finish was deemed to be unsatisfactory, and in this situation, unfortunately, we don't want to ever take away a win, but in this situation, I think it was warranted.
All right, well, we'll keep in contact with you throughout the week, and if we find any updates, it'll be on our Facebook at facebook.com/live-sim-racing-tv. Rod, thanks for sticking around and chatting with us, and as well, congratulations, you had a pretty good finish with the top 5.
Yeah, I think I wish I could celebrate under better circumstances.
We'll let him get back down to the trailer. So in the meantime, we'll talk to your provisional finishing order. And at this moment, the race has been declared official. Josh Ball, your winner. Seth the Merchant, second. Brandon Chiburko in 3rd. Those are your official results, leaving pending a penalty or a review later on in the week. But as of now, that is where we sit. And again, we heard Brandon Chiburko, one of the more vocal drivers in that conversation, obviously down in the production trailer, was initially the winner at the start-finish line, Cisco. He is given a 3rd place. He is 5 points short of the number 6 spot in the championship. Because of that, he does not advance based on the decision. It's a 3rd place for him, and you've caught up with him.
Yeah, I've caught up with the obviously disappointed Brandon Chiburko. And Brandon, you had a great race. Talk us through the rest of the race. How was it?
It was a very fun race, actually. I had a lot of fun running there. The last 2 laps, especially with Seth and Josh at the end, was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. Obviously, I do not agree with the call. I'm still trying to talk to Rod, figure out what his logic is behind it. I'm not disagreeing that it was a dirty move, slamming Seth into the wall like so. But at the same time, I'm not exactly sure where in the rulebook it states that you're not able to do that given the circumstances that I was in. I had to win in order to make it to the next round, and I was honestly doing just what I had to do. Yeah, obviously disappointed, but, I mean, hey, can't argue with Rod, right?
Well, is the 3-team going to appeal this call, whatever the call ends up being?
You know, man, I have honestly not thought that far yet. I have not thought that far. I don't know. I can't give you a straight answer on that.
Alright, well, you still finished P3 tonight, so, you know, you do finish in the top 3. You had a great run. Obviously, you had that scary bit kind of coming off 4 there where you had to go to the apron, but you drove the heck out of the car. Who you want to thank?
Honestly, got to thank Seth and Josh for working with me throughout the race. Frank, Ryan Pylon. Man, I know I'm forgetting some names here, but all of them for working with me, helping me out throughout the course of the race. And like I said, I mean, I had a lot of fun tonight racing at the end, and I hate that the call was made. I guess you could say against me, but I mean, I kind of understand where Rod's coming from, but I was still trying to make an effort to talk to him to figure out what exactly was going on. But thank Good Wrench for coming on board again, and yeah, that's pretty much it, man.
Alright, well, that's Brandon Jaburko. He finishes P3 tonight, and I believe Andy has caught up with the 42 and its driver, Seth the Merchant.
That's right, I am down here on pit road with the driver of the 42, Seth the Merchant. Seth, you move on to the next round, and it didn't come without controversy, and it didn't come without an awesome finish to a race. About halfway through that race, you had a little 6-car pack kind of pulling away from everybody, about 11 or 12 seconds ahead of that second group of cars. Then there was something odd happened there in the back straightaway. The 33 car got into some trouble, got into the wall, ended up taking 3 of those guys out. How close were you to that one?
I think a couple inches from being destroyed. He spun off the wall, it just barely missed me and destroyed everyone behind us, but luckily made it through and worked with Josh Ball and Jaburko there until the very end. But you know, I can understand why Chubbs did it. You know, he has to make it into the chase, but it sucks. You know, obviously I wanted to try to get a 4th win. That'd be pretty cool, but I don't know. It kind of sucks, but I don't know, man.
It kind of put you in a weird position. I know it was some fun racing. I mean, he made a, once that last pit stop it was just the 3 of you guys there, and that was a pretty good run you guys were having, and you kind of just riding, making sure nobody was overheating. You know, you had to make it to the end, and then you were just going to battle it out for that final lap, and it was a lot of fun. He cut your nose off there once on the back straightaway. I think I mentioned he does that well because he does it so close to where you think he's going to run you over, but he just somehow finds enough room, jumps in front of you, breaks your momentum there going into turn number 3. Thought it was over, but you ended up getting a decent run coming off of turn 4, got up to the outside, and then obviously the rest was history. But overall, a pretty darn fun race. It must have been in the seat.
Oh, yeah, man. I mean, when he blocked me going down to 3, I thought the race was over, too. I lost a ton of momentum, but yesterday, past couple of days, we've been running test sessions, and we made a new setup, and slowed the cars down and, you know, made the cars right heights, like, higher. And the car has so much more suck up now that I was going so fast coming off 4. I think I would have cleared him before we got to the line. And I think I would have had it, but, you know, put me in the wall, so it's whatever, I guess. I mean, I'm locked into the next round now with the 2nd place finish easily.
Yeah, you definitely are. You're sitting actually 3rd in the point standings as they show going into next week. So you made a part of the Super 6, you and your teammate there, Christian. So it's a pretty good spot for you guys to be in. Obviously, you got 2 races to get into the final round, the championship round. Only 3 people can make it into that one. So you guys got some work cut out for yourselves the next couple weeks to get yourselves some wins.
Yeah, this is going to be the most, probably the hardest chase round that we've had. You know, last season it was pretty tough, but I mean, the guys that we have left in this, man, it's going to be really difficult, especially next week if no one wrecks. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if all 6 of us are running 1 through 6. So it's going to be really interesting. One mistake, yeah. I can't wait, honestly, because it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and one mistake can be something as simple as getting on pit road too fast and losing your draft partners, and you know what I'm saying. So there's so much riding on a race like this, especially if green flag pit stops come into effect and things like that. So obviously a different venue, Talladega next week and the week after, obviously, but also a different little setup too as far as the B mains and the A mains. Obviously, the good finish here tonight will lock you into that A main for next week. So. You got to be pretty excited about that. And obviously moving on to the next round, that's one step closer to that championship. But obviously there's people you want to thank and people help you get you here.
I just got to thank P-Money Designs. I got to thank Team 6 Man. I got to thank Christian Peterson. And I got to thank you guys for broadcasting and Rod for putting on the league.
Well, there you have it. Congratulations again. We'll see you next week in Talladega.
Thank you.
There he is, second place finisher here tonight, Seth the Merchant. And Victory Lane, we got kind of a familiar face. 2 wins on the season now, and both of them coming in the past month.
And he's able to go to victory lane, and although it was not necessary based on the points to do so, in doing so, he'll advance to the round of 6, the only driver of those 6 that has an opportunity to get a second career champion. Your defending iSuperSpeedway champion, Josh Ball, declared the winner at Daytona after a post-race review. The number 48 Lowe's Chevy goes to victory lane. I didn't even have to go to Lowe's today to get the job done for him. It was a special paint scheme, but it was a wild finish. Quite a night, I'd say, Josh, to get the job done. You got it, though, and you're going to be leaving here with some more hardware.
Yeah, definitely. The 48 Chevy was strong tonight. There was a couple points towards the end of the race. I was out front. I thought I could hold it there. And to be honest, me, Seth, and Brandon were just trying to stay together and keep in front of that other pack, because we had some incidents that were throughout the race that we lost a couple cars due to an incident, I'll say, to be easy on it. But it was definitely interesting the last couple laps. I knew I was going to go to the lead at some point. I was going to try to get around, and then I pushed. We took 2 tires on that last stop, so I was pushing a little bit, pushed up off of 2. Seth got under me. Brandon got behind me, and then we tried to go around the outside because I thought that would be the faster line, and then it wasn't. So, obviously you guys saw Brandon abandoned me, then Brandon got in front of Seth, and then Seth and Brandon were going at it. I tried to stay there, pushed again, coming to the checkered there in 3 and 4. I was pretty much out of it, and then they got together, took each other out, and I guess the league rule is you can't block a line's momentum. I'm not sure exactly which rule it was, but Rod decided to declare me the winner of the race, which I'm happy for. Obviously, getting 48 in victory lane again. So.
And it's a sharp-looking paint scheme on that car as well this week. There was a lot of unknowns that I know we talked about it a little bit during the truck broadcast on what that would entail for that race. But the big question mark was tonight, what you could do with these cars, how they handled differently. You guys were doing about 50 miles an hour less than you were at last week's race. But, I mean, what was it like behind the wheel difference-wise with this new build?
Honestly, it felt the same as last week. I know it's kind of interesting, but everybody went out and tried to make a new setup and to make it a little bit looser. But really, after 10 to 15 laps, it got tight again. It was just a fact that you have all these cars in a line, inside and outside, and we just don't have that in practice. When we try to practice during the week, we don't get that many cars. It looks good when we have 5 or 6 cars or 5 or 10 cars go out there, and they're able to draft all around for a couple laps. That's great, but you and I know both. These races tend to go green for a while, and the setup really was about the same. We were both all lifting again. We were pushing in the corners. We were all taking 4 tires except for the last stop because we were so far ahead. So I'm not really sure what we should do with the setup, but it's you just got to adapt to it. It's the biggest thing. So, but the 48 low Chevy ran good all night. We had a little bit of minor damage going for a pit stop, but we tried to just avoid everything. We knew everybody was going to try to move around. It was interesting out there, Evan, for sure. I mean, I'm sure you guys thought.
Interesting is definitely an accurate descriptive word for what we saw out there tonight on track. So you get the job done. You're walking away with the hardware. On to the next round. The two of the drivers that were joining you in this chase that had an opportunity to try to become a multi-time champion in this series were Frank Wasilia and Brandon Chiburko. Both of those drivers eliminated. Chiburko out by 5 points, Wasilia out by 10 points. Frank was with you guys there and in a great spot to advance until a freak accident that I know you had alluded to a little bit earlier and that we discussed earlier on in the night. He gets eliminated, so now you're the only guy looking to become a multi-time champion. You're looking at a bunch of guys you're racing with. The other 5 competitors are looking for a first title. We go to round number 2, and it is at Talladega. So the first races in this round of the Super 10, all here at Daytona. The next 2 races going to be taking place at Talladega over the next, really, month, because you guys go racing next week on the 18th. Then you got an off week for Christmas, an off week for New Year's. You're right back into the fire on the 8th of January. Talladega, a place that you can be just as successful as you were here?
Yeah, actually, I prefer Talladega. At least up until today. My three wins came at Talladega before this, so it was quite nice to actually finally break through and win. I guess you'd say here at Daytona, pending any appeals or anything. But we came into the race. We knew what we needed to do. Last season definitely helped me out. We just needed to manage, and unless I got in the spot where I needed a win, I was just gonna try to stay up front like I did last week, pushing. I think it was Stephanie. I was game to just push her to the win. So now that we're in the round of 6, it's gonna be a little different. Rodney Walford's still in the chase, just like last season. Myself and Seth the Merchant have all made the Superior 3, so we're definitely familiar with where we are. Christian's been strong all year, so you never can count him out. Jason Altman's. He's been a great competitor all the time. Multiple wins, multiple times I've seen him pass me and be in front of me on the track. So, and Josh Harris won multiple championships other places. So, it's going to be an interesting top 6. Unfortunately, we don't get Brandon or Frank back in the in the Superior 6, and or Shane or Chris Passini, the rookie. I know he tried out there the best he could, the rookie. But he might learn towards next season. It's definitely a big step. Going from not being in the chase at all to being in there. So good luck to Chris and everybody else. But it'll be interesting over the next month. You're right. It's like I talked about. I don't know, a couple weeks ago. It's next week we run, and then it's 3 weeks, and we're not doing anything. So it's going to be interesting.
We thought guys were antsy tonight because they weren't able to be on the sim after 2 days or so of it being down. Wait till we hold you guys off for about 20 days in between races. It took you to Talladega to get your first career win, but you did win 2 races here at Daytona in shootout style that didn't technically win, but tonight your second win on the season, second in just as many months, and your 4th career trip to victory lane. Josh, congratulations to you, sponsors and shout-outs. Who do you want to thank?
Thank Lowe's again. They've been on the car pretty much every race for the past 5 seasons. Got to thank you guys, LSRTV, Rod putting on the league, all my friends in the league, everybody out there. I'm not going to narrow it down to everybody because I'll race with everybody. So,
he's trying to keep his options open for the next round. He doesn't want to alienate anybody.
Exactly. Well, I've been bouncing back and forth every week between who I'm going to work with because I'm not on a team right now. So, but I got the 2015, the red vest in Victory Lane. That was a good car for me to end of last season too. So it got me the win when I needed it. So we're definitely going to continue to run that paint scheme. So otherwise, I think that's about it. But yeah, thanks everybody out there again. LSRTV once again, Rod Ice Super Speedway Rod Car Truck Tour, iRacing Live for having us, and hope to see you guys next week.
Josh, I'll thank you again as always for sticking around and helping us with the truck stuff. And again, congratulations on the win. We'll see you in the round of 6, my friend.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Evan.
He advances with the win tonight in the official iSuperChase standings. Through now this race are as follows, based on everything that happened there at the end of the drivers that advance. Josh Ball advances with the trip to victory lane, as well does Christian Peterson. Seth the Merchant will advance to the superior 6 on points. So will Jason Altmans in 4th, Josh Hanner in 5th, and Rodney Wofford in 6th, guys. So what is to not get lost in all of this is that Brandon Chaburko does not advance 5 points behind based on that penalty that he was given after the race. Outside of that, though, Frank Busilia should be in this. He should be in the next round, but a freak accident takes him out. He doesn't advance by 10 points. I know Chris Bassini disappointed with tonight's result. I feel terrible for Shane McEachin. Made it to the big stage, only accumulated 30 points in these 2 chase races. Those are the other 2 drivers that are eliminated. It was definitely an interesting, I'll use that word again, an interesting race.
Yeah, it was crazy all around. I mean, it just, I think the way the tires, the way the setup handled it separated these packs like we had, and the mishap on the back straightaway there that took out 3 of those top 6 guys that were running in that group. That would have been an interesting finish, wouldn't it have been, with 6 guys trying to battle? I'm sure there would have been a couple other feelings hurt other than one, like there was tonight. So listen, it was fun. It's been a great season. Obviously, no matter what the finish is at a race, somebody's, when you're talking about a race that decides who moves on to the next round, there's going to be hurt feelings. There's going to be people that think they should have been there, deserve to be there. Frank Busilia, he's a champion here in the series. He's been here a long time. He's a veteran. Yeah, is he upset? Would he probably want to talk right now? Probably not. But you know what? Next week, he's going to be here. He's going to get out on the track, give it everything he's got, and try to steal one of these wins away from these chase guys. So, I mean, that's just a competitor, and these guys, they're some of them are bitter right now, but they'll get over it. They'll come back next week and try to get a win again.
Yeah, and we talk about next week, we're going to Talladega. This is going to be the first time, with this new setup, they might change a couple things, but if we're seeing the big kind of runs we saw tonight at Dega, think about next week. They can go 4 wide, they can go 5 wide there, and
Yeah.
I think we might end up seeing that next week.
And it is officially now the weekend on the East Coast, so we're going to wrap things up. We do want to thank everybody for tuning in. I encourage you to go to iSuperspeedway.com. We always say that it's the best looking website of all the leagues that we do, and it just got a very good facelift, so I encourage you to check out the website. As well, you can find all information there in regards to how to get involved for Season 2 of the trucks or Season 6 of this series coming up in the future months, so make sure to go to iSuperspeedway.com. Until next time, that does it, though. A big thanks to everybody on the Rod Car Board of Directors, Rod Flagg, Frank Busilia, Josh Hanner, as well as the General Counsel, drivers, and the sponsors. You can stay up to date with everything at LSRTV on our website at livesimracing.com, as well on our Facebook page at facebook.com/livesimracingtv. If there is to be any midweek drama, that's the place where you will find it. Again, congratulations. Your winner tonight, Josh Ball. He advances to the round of 6, and he will be joined by Christian Peterson, Seth the Merchant, Jason Altmans, Joshua Hanner, and Rodney Watford, as him and those other 5 drivers will go on their quest for a title. Until next time, on behalf of the entire LSRTV organization and for the team tonight, myself, Evan Pasoko, big thanks to Andy Kessler, Cisco Scaramuza, and our executive producer, Laura Lawson. Josh Ball, your winner at Daytona. Round 2 of the chase, the Superior 6, starts next Friday night on LSRTV, right here on iRacing Live. Good night.